reaching out. I really appreciate it.
So could you give everybody a brief background of what it is that you do?
Yeah, I'm a psychologist. I'm based here in Dubai, but I go back and forth from London to Dubai all the time. I do one-to-one online coaching with clients, mainly to do with trauma, but online I do a lot of relationship coaching and a lot of relationship counseling. So I'm actually a psychologist, but I specialize in childhood traumas, but it translates better online when I do relationship kind of advice. And it's
more interesting.
It's far more interesting. Everybody clicks when there's a video that says why men cheat or why women cheat, but no one clicks when they say why do you get anxious? They don't really care about that. So what happened is I started doing more relationship kind of coaching, and it kind of took off on social media a bit from there. And now I just kind of try and join podcasts and try and just get a message out there about how to have more healthy relationships.
So did you go to university in the UK?
Yeah, I did the university, masters, everything in the UK. I became a psychology teacher for a while. And
what was that like?
Great in London. I really enjoyed it in London because the kids are really raw and they're really energetic and they teach you so much. They keep you young. Have you ever worked with kids or anything?
No, not that often.
They're really good fun because they keep you young. But in Dubai, I just felt a little bit like they're so well set up in life. They've got their nannies, they've got their chefs. They're good to go. They don't need you as much. So I felt like maybe my services would be better if I do it online and reach the people that may not be able to afford therapy, but then we offer them a form of therapy online. So I thought maybe that would be a better route. So just kind of went more towards doing online stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
So are you pretty busy?
No, I live a great life. I'm usually on JBR.
No, I mean, are you busy with business? A lot of people come and ask you for help.
They are? I'm very grateful. I have a really good. Do you know what the good thing is? My message isn't for everybody. So what happens is the clients that come to me really want the same goal, which is how do we create a healthy relationship dynamic, and how do we become good parents to children? So what happens is I don't appeal to everybody. I'm totally okay with that. But the clients I do appeal to, we're a good fit. So I'm nice and busy, but I get more freedom with my time now. Now I select when I see clients, and then I get to enjoy a bit of Dubai life as well. Whereas before I was just work. Now it's a good balance. Do you find that you get a bit of a balance, or are you just work mode?
No, I've definitely got a balance. I've kind of created this lifestyle for myself where I can pick and choose when I work. Yeah. And I go through phases where I will work a lot. Yeah. But then I'm like, you know what? I want a bit of time off. So then I just...
And is there times where you just have like a holiday and just time off? Or is okay. Oh, that's good.
Well, there was a period when I was in my late 20s, early 30s where I probably did too much of that.
Okay.
So that's why we come back, we start the podcast and we're grinding.
But you know what? When you live in Dubai, life feels like a bit of a holiday. So you don't crave that kind of break from work as much as you used to, like in the UK. Yeah. So,
well, I mean, I can literally just go downstairs to the beach for an hour and then just come back up. I don't know
if can they see your view from your place?
You're missing out. They can't right now, but I think they've seen it before.
You need to see it. It's incredible. So you've got it good. You've got it not too bad, I have to say. It's amazing in here, right? Yeah. Yeah, you can't complain.
So I think it's safe to say in today's modern society, the whole dating and relationship scene is trickier than it used to be.
It's unhealthy, yeah. I was doing something recently where I was just talking about how current dating is just practicing for divorce. We have very little kind of ethics and cultures that create a long-lasting marriage, and we're teaching people exactly how to get divorced, how to have short-term connections, how to move on quickly, how to break up and then start again, how to have very little attention and patience. So we're creating an environment and a culture where we have perfect candidates for divorce, unfortunately.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's largely due to social media?
I think it's massively had a huge impact because more so than anything, it's reduced our desire to invest in people. Everybody seems disposable. You can quickly send a message to somebody else. You can quickly move on. You can quickly post a picture and new people will come into your DMs. So there is no motivation to make things work when they get tricky. So that's why, and social media hasn't been ideal for relationships.
I feel like back in the day, there was more of a motivation to actually put in some effort to make a relationship work.
Absolutely.
Whereas now, it's like you said, it's very disposable. Yes. And even I've experienced it myself. Yeah. Like there's been times where I've got into arguments and I'm like, do you know what? Screw this. Like, bye. I'll move on to the next. But that's not a healthy way to look at it.
But the thing is, what it's done is given everybody alternatives. So the average person now has alternatives if they have social media or if they have a Tinder account or whatever it is. Whereas before, the lack of alternatives makes you invest. Now there's so many alternatives that there is no desire to invest anymore, unfortunately.
What do you think of this quote? I asked Myron about this. He actually quoted it in his book. Most women want to get married and have children. Very few want to be wives and mothers.
I understand where he's coming from with that. I do understand where he's coming from.
It's not his quote, but it's a quote he used.
Okay, yeah. I understand where the person is coming from that with. In my experience of working with, clients and couples, wives and mothers involves being quite nurturing. And it's a selfless role. When you become a mother, you realize that, the crying baby doesn't care if you're hungry, tired, sleeping. It's an automatic selfless role. And in this hedonistic society where there's so much pleasure available, being selfless is becoming a dying trait. So I do think, I understand. I don't think people understand the level of selflessness that it takes to maintain a healthy marriage and children. And they almost expect faithfulness, loyalty. They expect the marriage to work because that's what it used to be. But now we have to work on it, unfortunately. It's not going to come effortlessly, and that requires selflessness.
What would you say you are? Would you say you're the type of person right now you're completely focused on your career and you want that family life, you want to be a mother, but you're not ready for it right now?
Well, no, I would say I'm always ready. But the thing is, I'm also a difficult person. I'm a very difficult person. I'm not the easiest. I'm quite I see red flags and everything. So I can't just think even with kids, I'm like, oh, we can just do this. But in my head, I'm like, yeah, but that's not safe for them. That's not good for them. That's not this. So my head it's part of
You're looking at the potential father.
Unfortunately, everything is a problem. Everything is, even just taking the kids here, there and everywhere, my brain goes to, that can affect them. That can be a bad thing. So unfortunately, it does make it difficult. Knowing too much is difficult. Yeah, unfortunately.
And I guess Dubai is a very unique place. Although it has its similarities to a lot of major cities around the world. Dubai it's fascinating.
It's very it's an incredible learning curve when you're watching how couples evolve in Dubai. There's very unique problems in Dubai.
How long have you been here for?
2.5 years. Yeah. And what I find in Dubai is the only city in the world where the women run circles on the men without the men having a clue. It's the only city in the world. Every other city is the men that are a bit of the men are annoying or this, that, and the other. This is the only city in the world where the women are running circles on the men and they have no idea.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is there are women out here who've got their house paid for, their rent paid for, they got their car and they got an allowance and they're using that money to go on dates with their boyfriend while their husband's at work. And he thinks he's smart.
Yeah, these aren't local women, by the way.
No, never local. Never local.
These are some of the women that have come from
these are people that come from
places.
That's it. That's what
they come here. They're on a mission.
They're on a mission.
They know how to finesse men.
Yeah, absolutely. But they're so finessable. The guys are the problem here. The women are not the problem. We've got to remember that there's a reason why jobless women come here, because they find men dumb enough to invest all their hard work and energy into a woman simply because she's 20 years younger, or simply because she's his type physically, or simply because she's a yoga instructor. It would be stupid of them not to take advantage of that. The men have lost their ability to see straight when it comes to the women here, and they go for trouble. They look for trouble. There'll be a good, wholesome woman, and there'll be a woman with all the red flags in the world, and they zoom in on that woman.
Yeah.
As we all know.
Yeah, I've definitely been there. I've learned from my mistakes. And when I see red flags now, I know I either swerve it completely or I know what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah, I think
that's very important. If you are dating in Dubai, you just need to understand what you could potentially be getting
That's
into.
What the thing is. They think that because they're rich and they provide for her, she's not going to go anywhere. What they don't know is the women in Dubai, you are one of 50 rich men they know. They know 50 millionaires. They know 50 men in that industry. So if you think your money is going to keep her, you're deluded, unfortunately. Your competition isn't other men. Your competition is what she's out here for, her goal. And if her goal is simply to collect, it doesn't matter. If you're the best man in the room, you're going to get finessed.
It's interesting because I always try and figure out why is it that a woman has gone down this route? Why is she taking this path? There's these choices which they make, which kind of require the least amount of work.
Yeah.
They will obviously most likely have to sacrifice quite a lot of self-respect and their pride in order to achieve what it is that they want to achieve. But why is that happening?
I think what I've noticed is that there's no reward in being a traditional good woman anymore. If you are a traditional woman who's got no, pictures on Instagram, who isn't going out all day, every day, who isn't sleeping around and isn't getting lots of surgery and not putting on loads of makeup, and you're simple, just a traditional woman, there's no reward in that. You will never find a date. You'll never find a man that says, here, let me take you out. Here, let me do this. Whereas if you are the most promiscuous, provocative, dangerous woman, your DMs are endless and you are booked every single day of the week and you get to choose which country you want to fly out to. So humans are going to look at where's the most reward and they're going to lean towards whatever's the easiest and most rewarding and profitable, unfortunately.
It's a shame because
it is a shame.
I'm doing this podcast and I want it to be fairly even in terms of like the male guests and the female guests.
Yeah.
So I'm actively looking for female guests, but I know lots of women who have built up a large following.
Yeah.
But how they've done that is by usually exposing themselves.
Yeah, it's questionable.
So it's difficult to find women out there who are, they have a decent job. They're hardworking. They're someone who other women would sort of respect. It's not easy. It's
impossible because, and that's what makes it difficult for women who aren't along those lines, because they're thinking, I don't know, especially when you look on social media, they're thinking, my guy's never bought me a handbag. My husband's never taken me to these nice places. My guy's never done that. And then you take a woman who's incredibly promiscuous online and whatever she wants in life, she gets to get. So you start to realize that men reward promiscuity, they reward toxicity, they reward non-traditional values, but then they claim they want a good woman. And then you're like, this is strange. What they're saying and what they're doing is different. Look at what they're saying. They want good traditional women, but look at what they're investing in. They're investing in the woman with her entire body out, and the other things men will say is, I want a natural woman, no makeup. But you see who they're following on Instagram. It's nothing but surgeries, fillers, this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, you're saying this, but what are you actually investing your time and energy into and your resources into?
Well, I was doing some research before this podcast, looking at your Instagram page and like the interview you did with Tam and Tate.
Yes, yeah.
And it actually made me think, who
am I following?
Yeah. And I know there's definitely some accounts which... questionable accounts.
Of course.
And then I realized I'm a part of the problem because by following them,
you're giving them
I'm supporting them
success.
in a weird way.
Well, it's not in a weird way, it's in a direct way. Not just you, but it's everybody. Like if I learn that if I just post a picture of my cooking and if I post a picture of like me just teaching my kids something, no one's rewarding that. But if I post a picture of me in my bikini and I get 10,000 followers and I get brand deals as a result of that and I get free clothes and I get free makeup, we're looking at the women, but really women are the supply. The demand is who are they going towards? The men are investing in there's men out there that will pay 10 grand for a picture of a woman's feet.
Yeah.
And there's another woman who's thinking, okay, I can go to university, study, and then, do something. Or another girl can post a picture of her feet and then make that same money in a day. And then we're going to think, what are young, impressionable women who don't have father figures or don't have people that are supporting them at home, where are they going to go?
I haven't, this was an interesting scenario. When I was in Bali, I got speaking to I think she was either Filipino or she was from Indonesia. So it's a relatively poor country.
Right.
So she came from an extremely poor family and there was really no hope for her. There was the education was poor. Yeah. She couldn't get any kind of a job.
Yeah.
Pretty girl.
Yeah.
She decided to start OnlyFans.
Okay.
Now she became very successful on that, has made huge amounts of money, still making a lot of money.
Right.
And she's actually been able to take her entire family out of poverty.
Yeah. She's changed the generation for herself.
This is kind of weird because I always had this view of OnlyFans girls and it usually wasn't like the best.
Yeah, they just want a bag or something like that.
But when I think of these individuals who are not coming from the most affluent of backgrounds, when they are actually using that money to support their family, I'm thinking, oh, yeah. And maybe there was no other way she could have done that.
But that's the thing. Like, if you take a girl who's suffering in Bali or Indonesia and she asks somebody to help me and my dad, we're living in a really poor conditions, men will say, no, that's your problem. But if she says, I'll have sex with you or I'll sell a picture of me naked, he'll be like, okay, how much do you need? Now, when men are rewarding promiscuity, what do you expect the women to do? What do you expect them to do? And we've got all these issues about women are no longer traditional, women are this, women are that. I'm not saying that they're not, but why are we rewarding that so much? And what do you expect somebody who's poor and hasn't got like a financial stable home or hasn't got father figure, mother figure? She's looking online and seeing what men like. Women go towards what men like. We do, whether we like it or not. We are dictated by male preferences. That's why our hair color will change. The surgeries will change based on what men like. The men will watch a lot of porn, have a preference, women become that. That's what society looks like now. And then they're just mad at the girl, but they're mad at the very girl that they're following every day on Instagram and liking and DMing. Yeah. It's like,
it baffles me because I find out how much money they're making. And I'm like, who are these guys that are paying for that? Who are these
guys? Let's
imagine a scenario where they snapped out of it.
Yeah.
And then all men just stopped their OnlyFans subscriptions. Yeah. What would happen then?
Yeah, but then we are encouraging...
Society would generally be better, wouldn't it?
They're the source, yeah? Like, it's like, you can blame the drug dealer, but they wouldn't have a market if there was no drug addicts. And the reality is, who looks more stupid, the drug dealer or the drug addict? The drug dealer can then clean out his money and live a great life. The drug addict is the one who's living with shame, guilt, embarrassment, a less fulfilling life. Same thing as these men that follow the women or invest in OnlyFans. The woman is clearing up, but you're the one that's still there like a loser, not learning how to talk to women in real life, not learning how to invest in women in real life. You're the idiot, not her. So we need to stop blaming the OnlyFans girls and be like, you're the trash. But really, the trash is the person that's subscribing. That's the issue. I believe anyway. What do you think?
I think it's the problem. Yeah. I feel like I have never paid for any subscription, any picture, anything, any escort, nothing. So I feel like, in a sense, I'm doing my part.
Yeah.
Maybe I could definitely be doing better with who I'm following, but it's improving, and I'm pretty sure after this podcast I'm going to be doing a cleanse because everyone's going to be looking at who I'm following after.
Yeah, but it's natural. Who wouldn't want to follow a stunning, beautiful girl? I get it, and I could argue that the women should stop posting that, but the reality is there's no negative consequences to posting badly. There's before, like I've said before, if I was a woman posting provocative pictures, I would know that there's going to be men who would judge me and never want to be with me. Now there's men queuing up to be with that girl, and they see it as a prize, like, oh my God, your girl's so hot, blah, blah, she's got her body done and she's on Instagram. They see it as a prize. They don't see it as a bad thing. So there's no negative consequences from being promiscuous as a woman anymore, because the men don't mind. They actually encourage it. So I don't know, maybe it's a chicken and egg, maybe it's a both thing, but we can't blame one or the other.
So speaking of promiscuity and body count, do you think it matters? What are your thoughts? Okay, so a woman's got a high body count. Do you think that's an issue?
I think it's no more of an issue than when a man has a body count that's really high.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's quite debatable.
Yeah.
I would say if a man's got a high body count, obviously the woman's probably not going to be too happy with that. But from that, the man's going to gain a lot of experience. Yeah. He may even potentially get quite a lot of whatever it is out of his system. Yeah. Because if a man, let's say, for example, if he gets married very early, he's only been with one or two women. When he gets to 30s, mid-30s, maybe he's going to start thinking, I didn't really have that period of time where I could just go on a bit of a mad one. Yeah. I feel like everyone has a hoe phase, both males and females. Yeah. A lot of them.
So
I think, I mean, it's if you're talking about like in the hundreds or thousands, okay, that's probably a red flag. Yeah. But there's an amount where I feel like it's almost a necessity for a man to have a greater understanding of different women. Yeah. And even just how to be in the bedroom.
Well, I was talking about this quite recently, and I always say it's bad for both, but worse for men. And I'll tell you why. Worse for men. I'll tell you why. Because this is what happens. When you have a high body count, man or woman, you have to drop your standards in order to have a high body count, either in the women that you're investing in or the treatment you're getting.
I think it depends who you are.
It depends who you are, but the reality is, even if you're Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever it is, you have to choose a woman who's very promiscuous for her to be okay with one night stands. So what's happening is you're now getting used to women who are calling their boyfriend and saying, babe, I'll be home in 10 minutes while she's in your bed. You are getting used to women who are like sleeping with you and then going off to sleep with your friend the next day. You are getting used to women who don't even reply and don't care if you have see them again or not. You are getting used to such low quality of women that when you meet a girl who's also low quality, but she's slightly above the usual promiscuous hoe that you're used to, you start glorifying her and thinking she's amazing because your comparison level has dropped so low. You are so used to that woman that has nude pictures online, or the one that's cheating on her boyfriend to sleep with you, or the one that is just sleeping with you and your friends. You're so used to such a low level of woman, you no longer have the skills and tools required to speak, to communicate, or be with a wholesome, good woman that can maintain a marriage. You are now going to attract another broken person because your standards have dropped. And the other thing that I would say is when you sleep around, there is no way you can sleep around with so many people and not feel some level of shame and guilt, because there's always that girl that you meet and then in the morning you're like, oh, please go away. There's always that, no matter what. So when you get that level of shame and guilt, the only way to feel better about yourself is to start saying, well, it's only sex. It doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter if she was a bit shit. It's only sex. When you start having that attitude, it's only sex, and minimizing the importance of sex, there is no way you can nurture that in a long-lasting monogamous relationship. You'll think it's only sex, so you can have it outside of the relationship. You'll be more polygamous. So whereas for women, it's not good either. I'm not saying it's a good thing for women, but men risk pregnancies. Yeah. Women can get rid of a baby. They have let's say a woman doesn't want to be with you. She has a baby. She gets pregnant. She gets rid of it that day. But say the average woman, if she gets pregnant with Mike fucking Thurston, she's keeping it. And you have no say in that. And now you're either stuck with this woman for the rest of your life, like to some degree, or you think, I'm not dealing with this. That's your problem. I'll pay for it, but I don't want anything to do with it. But your child is now being raised in the hands of a man that you don't know or respect, by a woman you don't know or respect. It's a big risk for a man. You've got, and all because you want to be more skilled in the bedroom. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it.
I think I would definitely say if you are used to sleeping with lots of different women, it's harder for you to settle down with just one. Because then after a while, you will more than likely start to miss the days when you were sleeping around.
You miss novelty. You just miss novelty. It's not that you enjoy sleeping around. There's not, I mean, how sex is sex. How great can it be? But it's difference, new. Men are designed to like novelty. Now, when you've done that so many times, to then be with one person for the rest of your life becomes almost impossible. And so what you do is you start minimizing how good monogamy is. You're like, oh, that sounds boring. But the reality is children need it. Children need it. Your parents need it. They like to see that you're monogamous in a relationship. Your children are being raised well. And also the other thing is people think that high body count means good in bed. Actually, men that have 2 or 3 good long-term relationships know a woman's body better than men who sleep around lots of one-night stands. Because the one-night stand guy that's had 1,000 bodies is just learning what makes him feel good.
But it depends if that woman didn't unlock that man's
but usually women he's in a relationship do that with better than the one-night stand. She's not going to... A man that's a one-night stand with a girl he doesn't respect, he's like, I don't need to give you the best night. I just need to... And then you can go. But when you are in a long-term committed relationship, you invest time and energy to be pleasing and satisfying. So it's actually not linked to satisfaction. Men that come out of long-term relationships with maybe a few partners tend to be better than ones that have been 1,000 one-night stands because they learn the skills and etiquettes it takes to create intimacy.
What I think is also interesting when it comes to female body count, obviously I'm not a fan of high female body count, but let's say, for example, if she has been with extremely highly successful men in that top 1%, then it wouldn't bother me as much in comparison to if she'd just been sleeping around with a load of losers.
Why is that? I understand, but why do you think...
She's got standards.
She's got standards.
And she's obviously smart and has an ability to be worthy of dating or being with those top 1%.
But do you think high value top percentage men actually choose wisely? I have a theory that high value top percentage men are more likely to be cheated on.
Really?
Yeah, than the average Joe. Because here's the difference. Somebody like, let's take the two reasons. Firstly, they choose badly to begin with. Like, let's take, I'm not saying you do this, but somebody like you, if you wanted to, there's not a woman that you couldn't DM that wouldn't reply, read it. There's very few women that wouldn't, that would leave you on the scene. So you have the pick of the world. You're not like the average Jimmy in his mum's basement who can only talk to Janet in HR. You can talk to whoever you want. Now, when you can talk to whoever you want, you are going to pick the most out there woman. You're not going to pick Caitlin in Starbucks. You are going to pick bad bitch.
But because of my dating experience, I'm 32 years old now. Yeah. I've made mistakes and I've learned from them.
Maybe.
But like I literally now, if I'm looking to date or I'm looking to really settle down, I know exactly the type of girl.
Perhaps, but majority of the time, you are going to find it difficult to be with Kathy from Starbucks when you are used to a girl with 10 million followers.
No, because that comes with so much headache.
But the majority of high-value men are because you can pick who you want. Who's going to go for plain Jane when he can have his dream girl? You can have your dream girl as a high, like if you're a top.
Yeah, but I don't think my dream girl is someone. She's not an influencer. She's not.
Perhaps not for you now, but the majority of really successful, good-looking men, they can choose their dream girl head to toe. They're not going to settle for the average discreet woman. They're going to choose their dream girl. That dream girl comes with a different set of problems. She's not just your dream girl. She's everybody's dream girl, and that girl is more likely to know 10 of you. She doesn't know just one high value man. She knows 10. So what happens is the selection process is damaged. They choose the sexiest girl thinking that because they're so high value, she's going to be with me and therefore she's going to be loyal.
A lot of men will do that for status as well because they want to be seen with that top woman.
They want to be seen with that. So these rich men, they'll choose that type of girl and think she's going to submit and be loyal to them, but not knowing that that girl, she's got 10 of you in her DMs. And she's got your attention because she's provocative and promiscuous. So those values haven't changed in her just because she's met you. So you're thinking, oh, she's with me, she's going to change. You're not ignoring that she comes with a culture of I use my body to get men to do whatever they want for me. You're not going to be the one and only. So what happens is these rich men, because of their selection process, they're actually more likely to be cheated on, and because they also have this false sense of security. They think, where is she going to find another me? And the reality is your competition is not other men. Your competition is her traumas.
Well, do you know as well, they're probably too busy with their work. They're not properly pleasing the woman.
With really high value men, they're so naive about women. Because they think you're not going to get any better than me. But women don't want better. They want what they're used to. So if you meet a woman whose dad was an alcoholic or a dad was abusive or didn't grow up with a father figure, she will have a high-value rich man who treats her really well and cheat with her toxic PT in the back of her Nissan. And you're thinking, but you've got a rich billionaire, but she's like, I want that chaos. So your competition is never other men. Your competition is her values.